Welcome back to History's Tech, and today we are looking at another delta-winged aircraft. We are looking at the MiG-21. Now, this Mach 2 capable aircraft sports an impressive record, serving more than 60 countries across 4 continents and serving for over 7 decades and still serving to this day.
But let's go ahead and look into the history of the MiG-21. Now, the MiG-21 is part of a continuation of the MiG series of aircraft, starting with the MiG-9, moving into the MiG-15, the MiG-17, and then finally with the MiG-19 before there was a need for a rapid change in development. In the early 1950s, there was a plan by the Soviet Union to develop a Mach 2 fighter. At the time, designs called for a nosed intake aircraft with swept-back wings, and that's actually what the MiG-21 prototype looked like. And these aircraft actually look very similar to the Su-7 and 9. And because of this, NATO would actually confuse the MiG-21 with these and would incorrectly designate them when they first came out. The fourth prototype is what gave us the MiG-21 we know today. They went with a delta wing design. The delta wing design was actually chosen because as this aircraft was supposed to be a fast-climbing interceptor, it would mean that the aircraft could actually achieve incredibly fast climb rates. Now, some other design features included a shock cone designed to allow for better air compression at high speeds. And due to the fact that the aircraft was relatively lightweight, it didn't require a very heavy afterburning turbojet engine, meaning that space could be made available weight-wise for other weapon systems and even fuel. Fuel was actually the biggest issue for the MiG-21. With the design being for a short-range interceptor, the fuel tanks weren't placed in a really great spot, and so they were actually rather small, and the aircraft, under the best of conditions, only had a 45-minute endurance capability. But because the aircraft was seen to be able to deal with contemporary NATO aircraft, it was allowed to go into full deployment. And from there, its career really took off. Now, while it did come from the Soviet Union, it wasn't ever actually deployed by the Soviets in any real action. It was, however, deployed by several of the countries that purchased it, such as India, Vietnam, Indonesia, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, all deployed the aircraft for various conflicts. Obviously, the MiG-21 has too much of an impressive career for me to hit every single highlight that it's ever done, but some of the big players of it are going to include it was India's major aircraft, and India has been the largest operator of it. They basically chose to purchase the MiG-21 over Western competitors, and because of that, they got the right to actually manufacture the MiG-21, and they were still using it up till 2023 when they began replacing it. With Indonesia, it was part of Operation Trikora, which was basically a Soviet-Indonesian military operation designed to annex Dutch overseas territory of the Netherlands, New Guinea. With the North Vietnamese Army during the Vietnam War, it was actually kind of mixed in terms of it in early days. A lot of pilots actually favored the maneuverability of the MiG-17 over the MiG-21. However, it had incredibly reliable long-range missiles, and 13 North Vietnamese aces got their ace status from flying MiG-21s during the war. Now, one of the most important results of the MiG-21 during the Vietnam War is it showed the shortcomings of the United States Navy's new F-4 Phantom. And actually, it led to some high losses for the United States during Operation Rolling Thunder, so much so that the Navy had to reevaluate what it was doing with its pilots in regards to high-speed aircraft air-to-air combat. And the Navy established the Navy Fighter Weapons School, also known as Top Gun. So it's because of the conflict that this aircraft was causing with the United States Navy that we got the Top Gun School and eventually the Top Gun movie with Tom Cruise and the second one. And of course, the United States would go out of its way to get its hands on a MiG-21 to evaluate the aircraft, with the United States at one point having as many as a dozen of them in their arsenal for evaluation purposes. Additionally, it was involved in conflicts such as the Syrian Civil War, the Libyan-Egyptian War, Iran-Iraq War, Libyan Civil Wars, Horn of Africa conflicts, Angola conflicts, and even the Second Congo War, making it the Soviet-era aircraft that probably has seen the most conflicts on the most parts of the world. The aircraft was actually finished being modernized by the Soviets in the early 70s, but continued to be produced in its last variants up until the mid-1980s. In terms of variants, more than 24 variants have been made for the MiG-21, most of them just basically being some type of upgrade, better avionics, better radar, better engine. However, the most produced variant is this one right here, the Chengdu J7. This is a license-built copy of the MiG-21 built by the Chinese, and they actually make even their own export variant of it. Now, today, the MiG-21 is slowly on its way out. It is being replaced by militaries around the world. Some are replacing them with Western fighters. Some of them are replacing them with next-generation Russian-made fighters. Others are replacing them with domestic-made fighters. Because of this, it has started to make its way into the civilian market. There are actually 44 privately owned MiG-21s in the United States alone. Some of them are being used by companies such as Dragon International. There was even an attempt by a company called Premier Space Systems to try and turn the MiG-21 into a suborbital launch vehicle. But there you have it, a look at the MiG-21, a part of the MiG series of evolution for aircraft, the most produced supersonic jet fighter in history, with over 11,000 aircraft produced. And whether you love the aircraft or hate it, its effects on not only Russian aircraft development, but even American aircraft development and the formation of the American Top Gun School cannot be ignored. But that's it for today. I thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you on the next time.